Welcome to the Getting Down with Digital Health podcast, sponsored by Mend. We hope to inform and inspire you on a wide variety of healthcare topics. We're grateful you're joining us today. And now, on with the show.
What up, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Getting Down with Digital Health. I'm your host, Brandon Worley, and today's guest is the man, the myth, the legend, co-founder and CEO of Mend, Matt McBride. What's up, man? How you doing today?
What an introduction. I mean, I'm glad this is being recorded right now because that needs to be on like my alarm clock or something in the morning.
I was just making sure you know who hooked you up when it's time to pay for the next dinner. So today we have a very exciting episode where we are going to be talking about the 5 telehealth studies that we've been reviewing. So that should be a very good episode, or a good part of this episode, is it just gives a lot of learnings of what's going on out there. We have a new ebook and webinar that are coming up in March. We have a fight to the death in Pac-Man. Our last competition was a push, so winner take all in this competition. And finally, Matt is going to give an informative healthcare topic meant to inspire you to be as healthy as you can be.
Big show. Let's do it.
During this pandemic, the Healthcare Coalition conducted a massive telehealth study. So let's tell the audience, Matt, what did they find?
Yeah, so I think this particular study was kind of cool because the pandemic, started to present itself. Government really looked at telemedicine as a solution just to be able to provide care safely. And so a number of different independent organizations started contributing data. They weren't paid or anything like that. So you have lots of different medical associations, health systems, what have you, that were providing data during the pandemic. And so here are some of the conclusions that they found. So 73% of patients said they'll continue to use telehealth in the future, which was interesting. 83% believed it was quality. 79% were satisfied with the experience and the care. 68% of physicians said they are interested in continuing to use telemedicine. And it was pretty much used in every type of care imaginable. And what was really interesting is 41% of patients said they might choose telehealth over in-person going forward. So definitely some interesting data.
I'm excited to see that this study really backs up a lot of the data that our customers and their patients have been giving us in regards to this. Having done millions of telehealth visits over the years and, really getting very deep with our customers and finding out what works for them, I was really interested in the Sykes study because it really talks about how Americans feel about telehealth 1 year later. So if you could share with the audience a little bit of the findings that they came up with.
88% of Americans want to continue to use telehealth. So, not too far off from what we saw in the Healthcare Coalition. 80% felt it was quality care. 86% said it was easier to get care. And I think the convenience is a big factor. And I think, we see lower no-show rates in telemedicine visits. No question. I think the convenience is huge for people. 74% felt it would be the norm. 63% reported being afraid of going to the doctor and said their fears were eased with the telehealth experience. Of course, a pandemic, I think that makes sense. I don't know if that one really continues well on into the future, but no question, telemedicine played a vital role in the pandemic. And then 52% said they'd see their doctor more often. So I think, trying to manage chronic conditions, providing a convenient way for folks to get care, seems like people are willing to stay more engaged. And I think we've seen that for a long time in behavioral health.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think what's really interesting for us is looking at the data across our platform is that Obviously, there was a huge spike when COVID hit, but we found that the amount of visits that have been taking place over the last couple years, it stayed very consistent, and in a lot of organizations, it's grown as they just become more and more used to conducting virtual health visits as healthcare providers, but also the patients are just getting used to it. Now, this is one that I found was really interesting. It's the Triple Tree study. It's the new era of virtual health. So more people are trying to get more out of their virtual health experience. So please talk about that.
76% of consumers are interested in using virtual care. 95% of providers say they plan to offer telehealth in the future. So I think that's exciting for patients, for providers, for everybody. 71% of seniors were likely to use telehealth again, and 98% of seniors had a favorable experience. I think this one is key because you hear these assumptions that there are certain demographics that can't or won't use this type of technology. And I don't know about you, but honestly, my parents, I think, were the most excited about having this as an option. So I think time and time again, you see the assumption that it just won't work for this group, and then you find out the total opposite. So 36% would leave their current physician or provider, for somebody who offered telehealth as an option. So a third of people would switch or leave. 90% of hospitals expect a greater use of telehealth. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then 80% of large employers felt virtual care would be important for their employees going forward. So some interesting insights here.
Yeah, it really is. And I know, in looking at our own internal data, it really correlates well. And speaking with prospective customers or existing customers through the sales process, they just assume it's going to be the Generation X people down to the millennials to Generation Y that are really going to adopt this. But the baby boomers and the older folks just wouldn't. And I know looking at our data, it was interesting for me to see that 17% of all of our telehealth visits were done by patients greater than 65 years of age. So I think it really comes down to the education, just the ease of use of the technology, and ultimately just that getting over the fear of doing that first visit. So really happy to see that the overall data supports our findings. HIMSS, an incredibly well-known and respected organization, the consumer perspective on telehealth. What do they have to say?
Yeah, I think similar trends here too. 77% willing to use telehealth post-COVID, 63% willing to use messages. Now, I think this is a underutilized opportunity here. We have messaging visits. We've offered them for a long time. The groups that are innovative enough to offer it, their patients love it. I think, you can charge a copay rate and answer a lot of basic questions that way. And I think we see in the study that there's willingness for patients to use it. I've used it, on another service. It was incredible. So I think that's the next, it's been called asynchronous, but it's really, a secure messaging visit between you and a healthcare provider. I think that's going to be a big opportunity in the future. 41% prefer to use telehealth in specific circumstances post-COVID. 61% want to see their trusted provider. So I think this is huge because you want to see your doctor. At the end of the day, people want to see their own doctor. I think especially for anything chronic or your doctor has your history, knows you. So that's an interesting one. HIMSS asked about price point. So if you were going to offer a self-pay service, $80 seemed to be the optimal price point. And 73% said it's more important to me to have a private and secure video visit with my healthcare provider than the video visit be convenient and easily accessible. So this one is really important because a lot of folks out there are using non-HIPAA compliant solutions. The government has allowed it during a public health emergency, but savvy consumers, know what is secure and what isn't, and they want their help, regardless of what the government says. A lot of people, you can tell, look at this question right here. A lot of people are concerned about how their health data is handled. And so I think having something secure, having a compliant solution, and moving away from what the government allowed during a public health emergency is going to be vital for groups.
And these are great statistics. And there's one that I know that really caught my attention that I don't see on here is from the Generation X on down, that folks would actually pay more for a virtual visit than what they perceive the value of an in-person visit to be. And that additional money that they're willing to pay is a convenience premium because it's just so easy for them to be able to do their virtual visit wherever they are and not have to leave their work or home or wherever to go to the doctor's office. So I thought that was very interesting. And then the last one, the fifth one that I'd like to talk to you about, or like you to share, is the Cleveland Clinic study.
So here's what's interesting about this one. It was published last year, but the data was from 2017. So blast from the past. What did people think about before the pandemic? Because that's how they might think, if we move past the pandemic, this is how they might go back to thinking. So 91% said it made it easy to get the care they needed. 82% said it was just as good as an in-person visit. 95% felt comfortable with the technology, and 93% felt the clinician was, engaged and interested in them as a person. It wasn't some awkward experience there. So I think the difference, right, is the government was standing in the way a little bit back in 2017. I think a lot of those barriers have been broken down now, but very interesting to kind of see how people compared to, the pandemic, okay, makes sense. Telemedicine, got to use it. Well, what were they saying before? I think it's interesting.
It's definitely here to stay. So I know this is something that, our team has put a lot of time and effort into. A new ebook that we're coming out with, and a new webinar that will be covering this content that we talked about and much, much more. We have a live webinar presentation on March 23rd. That is a Wednesday. That's being held at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to talk about the top 12 telehealth and digital patient engagement KPIs every health tech leader must have. Matt, if you wouldn't mind, can you just talk a little bit more about that and how folks can sign up to attend that webinar?
You can jump on our website and we'll have a little banner up here shortly. So you'll be able to register that to attend the live version, or you can always go into our resource section, go into the ebooks, webinars to access all of our content on demand. And if you ever want to see a demo, you can schedule a demo. That also puts you on our email list. So any new webinars that we have or ebooks, you'll be notified of that. So I think in this presentation, I think it's going to be really informative, because not only are we going to talk about the areas to measure around patient engagement, we're going to share all of our data. We're going to, across all of these patients, all of these providers that we help, here's what the data looks like, which can be used as a benchmark. Whether you're using Mend or maybe you're using another platform, you'll kind of know, all right, what's the average here, and how do I stand up against that? So, we do that for our customers too, right? We'll give them, here's how you're performing, here's the average, so you can see how you bump up to that. So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of data in there that people will find very informative.
Contest time. What do you have for us today, Matt?
We got a tie to break here. This one, I don't see how this ends in a tie. It is literally a fight to the death, but it's going to be Pac-Man's death. Okay. And
Old school.
the game gives you 3 lives. We're just going to do 1 life each.
Okay.
Highest score wins.
Love it.
So, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure. I'm happy to go first. It's only been probably 25 years, 30 years since I last played. So let's see how this goes.
I can see it.
All right. It's on.
Oh, the pink ghost thought
He's
had
coming. We're going to go ahead and get that. Oh, there we go.
Oh, you gotta eat those ghosts, man. They give you points.
I'm going for them. I'm going. My fingers are getting stuck on the keys. I need to get out of here.
I thought you were gonna get trapped.
Oh, I felt like I was gonna get trapped.
Oh.
No!
Oh. 1480. 1480.
I've never felt so uncoordinated in my life.
Trying
to deal with these.
That's respectable.
So let me close out of this. I'll stop sharing my screen and let's see what you can do.
All right, the pressure is on.
You're nervous, I know.
There we go. Big points.
Huge. Oh.
I feel like the keyboard's a little delayed here. All right. Oh boy, they're chasing me. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here we go. I think that's a win right there. I think that's a 1-game win streak right there. Oh, let me get this chair. Oh, come on. Let's see. Maybe I can clear the board. Here we go. There it is.
Well done, man. Nice job.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah, so. That was pretty impressive. 2-game carryover, man. That's hard to come back from. As every episode, we really want to try to help people live happier and healthier lives through increased access to care or just knowledge around their overall health. So I know you and I are very health conscious. We talk a lot about diet, nutrition, exercise, and different types of things. But you started on something a while ago that I had never heard before, and it's reverse dieting. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I learned about it recently too. It's not something that I feel like you hear. I think, when people think about dieting, you think about, not eating anything, suffering, or eating a lot of salads or what have you. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think there is some truth to dieting, right? If you do want to lose some weight, cut some weight, you do have to run a calorie deficit, and I think most people do that through how much they eat, and then you can also burn calories through exercise. But you can when you do that, then the fear is, right? Like, let's say you go on a diet, you lose the weight, then what happens? Then it's like people maybe go back to old habits and you just gain that weight back. So it's like, how do you do this? How do you kind of get where you want to go and then keep it off? So the reverse diet is the greatest diet in the world. So if you don't know about it, here's what Google says about it: that reverse dieting is when you increase your calories slowly over a period of time in order to increase your metabolism with the goal of keeping fat gain to a minimum. Reverse dieting is a great way to reset your metabolism after a long period of time in a calorie deficit and can help you reach your weight loss goals. So you do a cut, you lose some weight, you want to keep it off, you inch your calories up week by week, until you get to a point of sort of